What happens when one of country music's biggest stars ends up in the middle of a late-night interview that completely goes off the rails? Carrie Underwood, known for her grace and calmness, walked off the set of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert after an exchange that left the whole audience silent in disbelief. This wasn't a planned joke. This wasn't a rehearsed stunt. This was real tension that built up so fast even the crew didn't know how to react. Before we dive into exactly what was said that made Carrie stand up and leave, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below, because this story has layers you won't believe. The night began like any other recording. Carrie Underwood was scheduled to appear on The Late Show to promote her new album and talk about her upcoming tour. She walked onto the stage to thunderous applause, looking radiant in a sleek black dress, waving to the crowd with that familiar warm smile that has won millions of hearts. Stephen Colbert greeted her cheerfully. They exchanged greetings, and for the first few minutes, everything seemed perfectly smooth. The crowd was full of energy, the cameras were rolling, and it seemed like another fun, successful interview was underway. Stephen started with easy questions. He asked about her music, her life on the road, and how she balanced her career with her family. Carrie answered each one with humor and charm, sharing little stories that made the audience laugh and stay engaged. She spoke about her sons, the creative journey behind her latest record, and how much it still meant to her to be performing after so many years in the industry. Stephen seemed genuinely interested, nodding and laughing at the right moments. The chemistry between them seemed strong. But then the mood shifted. Stephen leaned back slightly in his chair, and you could see from his expression that he was about to change direction. His tone softened but carried a new edge. He said, "Carrie, you've been in the public eye for almost 20 years now, and somehow you've managed to stay quite private about your personal beliefs and political opinions, which is rare these days. But recently there's been a lot of talk about where you stand on certain topics. Do you think artists have a duty to speak out? Or is it better to keep that side of themselves separate from their work?" The crowd went quiet. It was one of those questions that sound harmless at first, but everyone in the room could feel the weight behind it. Carrie's smile faded just a little. She took a breath before answering. When she spoke, her tone was calm and measured. She said, "I think every artist has to make that choice for themselves, Stephen. For me, my music has always been about connection, about emotions and shared experiences. I don't believe I need to tell people what to think or how to feel. I trust my fans to be smart enough to make their own choices." Stephen nodded, but he wasn't finished. He leaned forward slightly and said, "Sure, but don't you think there are moments in history, like the one we're in now, when silence can look like agreement, where staying neutral might not really be neutral at all?" You could feel the energy in the room change. Carrie shifted a bit in her chair, her expression firming. She said, "I don't think it's fair to say someone is complicit just because they don't make every opinion public. I've supported charities, I've spoken up for causes I care about. But I also believe not every discussion needs to happen in front of cameras." Stephen pressed on, his tone getting more challenging. "But Carrie, isn't that a privilege? To stay quiet when things get uncomfortable? A lot of your fans, especially younger ones, look up to you. Don't you think they deserve to know where you stand?" That's when you could see Carrie's patience thinning. The warmth in her face was gone, replaced with a look of quiet frustration. She said, "I don't owe anyone an explanation for how I live my life or how I use my voice. I've been doing this long enough to know that no matter what you say, someone will twist it, someone will be angry. So excuse me if I'm thoughtful about what I choose to share." The audience was silent. You could hear the tension in the air. Stephen didn't back off. He said, "I understand that, but isn't that the problem? That we're more scared of being misunderstood than we are committed to doing what's right?" Carrie's eyes flashed. She said, "Doing what's right. According to who, Stephen?" "According to you. According to whatever social trend is popular this week. I've always tried to be authentic and stay true to myself. That means not performing my beliefs just because it's expected. I respect artists who speak out, but that doesn't mean we all have to do it the same way." Stephen nodded, but kept pushing. "Okay, but let's be specific. There are issues right now that aren't political. They're moral. Human rights, equality, decency. Are those things you're okay talking about, or are they off limits too?" Carrie leaned back and crossed her arms. You're trying to corner me, and I don't appreciate that. You invited me to talk about my music and tour, and now you're turning it into an interrogation. If you wanted a real, thoughtful talk about these topics, that's one thing. But this feels like a trap. Like you're trying to get me to say something you can turn into a headline. Stephen raised his eyebrows. I'm just asking questions, Carrie. Questions people want answers to. If that makes you uncomfortable, maybe that's worth thinking about. That was the breaking point. Carrie uncrossed her arms, placed both hands on the chair's armrests, and said, You know what, Stephen? I came here in good faith to share my work and connect with people, but this isn't a conversation. This is you trying to make a point at my expense, and I'm not going to sit here for it. The audience gasped. You could feel the shock ripple through the studio. Stephen looked caught off guard, like he hadn't expected her to fight back. Carrie, come on, he said. You're overreacting. I'm just trying to talk. But Carrie was already unclipping her microphone. She placed it neatly on the chair and said, A real conversation needs mutual respect. Right now, I don't feel respected. I feel like you're using me to push your own message. Stephen stood up too, now looking anxious. Producers were gesturing wildly off camera. Carrie, wait, let's just take a breath. I didn't mean to upset you, he said. Carrie looked at him steadily. Her voice was cold. The problem is you don't even see what you did wrong. You think you're being brave by asking tough questions, but really, you're just being rude. There's a difference. Stephen's face flushed. Carrie, I respect you. That's why I think it's important to have these discussions. We can't just talk about the easy stuff all the time. Sometimes we have to go deeper. Carrie shook her head, her voice soft but sharp. Going deeper would mean asking about the meaning behind my songs, about what inspires me, about how I handle challenges as a woman in this business. That would be depth. This, she said, motioning between them, is you trying to drag me into a culture war, and I won't play that game. The crowd was frozen. Nobody knew whether to clap or stay silent. Stephen ran a hand through his hair, clearly flustered. I think you're misunderstanding me. I'm not trying to trap you. I'm just trying to get your point of view. Carrie gave a short, humorless laugh. No, you're not. If you wanted my perspective, you would have listened when I said I believe artists contribute in different ways. But instead, you kept pushing, like my answer wasn't good enough. That's not curiosity. That's pressure. Stephen's tone grew defensive. So if someone came here and said they didn't care about equality or human rights because it's too political, you'd defend that too? The audience gasped. Carrie's eyes widened in disbelief. She stood, her voice trembling but steady. How dare you compare my choice to keep certain things private to someone denying human rights? That's out of line, and you know it. Stephen held up his hands. I'm not comparing anything. I'm asking where you draw the line. Carrie shot back. It's not a fair question when you twist it to make me look like I don't care about people. I've always treated others with kindness. I've given millions to causes that help those in need. But because I won't perform my views for your audience, you suggest I'm lacking morals. Do you not see how manipulative that is? Stephen raised his voice slightly. I never said you were lacking morals. I'm saying silence can send a message whether you mean it to or not. Carrie's tone matched his. And I'm saying you don't get to decide what my silence means. You don't get to tell me that my quiet actions don't count just because I'm not shouting them on social media. Real help doesn't always come with an announcement. By now, the entire studio was locked in complete tension. What had started as a cheerful late-night chat had turned into something raw and real. Stephen seemed to realize he was losing the moment. He softened his voice. Look, Carrie, I'm not trying to upset you. I really just want to understand how you see your platform and your responsibility. Carrie took a slow breath and looked directly into the camera instead of at him. Let me be clear, she said. I love my fans. I'm grateful every day for the life they've given me. But I'm not a politician. I'm not an activist. I'm a singer, a songwriter, a mom, and a person trying to do her best. I have opinions and beliefs, but I also have limits. And those limits aren't up for debate. Stephen tried to speak. Carrie, I don't think I know better. I just think that sheet way, and that anyone who doesn't agree must be row don't have all.